So for this exercise, we're going to attempt to do something similar to this right here. We're going to create a set of curves that are going to touch a flat plane, and then we're going to loft it together. And this is actually the example of the Burnham Pavilion that we talked about earlier in our lesson. So let's go ahead and design our own version of this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in top view, and I'm just going to open up our curves, and I'm going to go ahead and use interpolated curves, and I'm just going to start by making our first shape here. I'm going to do it just above the axis line. I'm going to go ahead and just draw a line and go 0, 0, 0 with it. Make sure your ortho's on, and I'm just going to draw a straight line on the bottom here, just so we kind of have a ground plane. And I went ahead and drew a curve. Let's see what will happen if I rebuild this curve. Okay. So I didn't do anything there. I just undid the rebuild. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make another curve, and I'm actually going to make it inside of this one. Like that. And now I'm just going to continue to do some on the outside. And I notice these curves are looking a little funky, so we might have to actually go ahead and rebuild some of these curves. But I'm just going to keep going like that. And I'm going to create one more here. Okay. And so I've made sure that they're all above my datum line here, and that none of them are touching that surface yet. Or that curve, sorry. And so they're all looking a little bit wonky, so I'm going to go ahead and start rebuilding them. So I typed in rebuild, and I open this up. And so I want to smooth them out, so I'm going to change the degree to, let's go 5. And it should adjust itself when you make these changes. And you can start to see that it's adjusting the shape there for me, so maybe I want to make the UV even higher. And if I hit OK, now it's kind of cleaned that curve up for me. If I turn on my control points, you'll see that that's the shape that's right there. And I'm going to rebuild it one more time. And I'm going to actually do less control points, and let's see what that gives us. So there's our editing points there. So now I've got that one smoothed out, I'm going to rebuild the next one. And I'm kind of just intuitively going through the process here and sort of seeing what we're going to get. Right now I have 8 and 7. And that's fine with me. I'm going to go ahead and rebuild the next one. I'm going to go 8 and 7, rebuild the next one, and rebuild the last one. So now that I've achieved this, and I have maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 curves going, now the rest of these curves, what I'm going to do is actually extend below this line right here. So I'm going to start each one of these below the line. And I'm just going to draw some more here. Okay, and I think I'm going to do one more, and I'm going to do this one. Nah, we're good. So now that I've done that, I'm going to rebuild these curves. And I'm just doing 8 and 7. So now we have sort of this tree looking effect, right, where it's like the grains of a tree. And so we've started to create our form here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on a new layer, and I'm going to lock the current layer that I drew all that information on, so that way I can't select any of it. And now I'm going to do the same process again over the top. So now each one of these ones I want to be somewhere between the ones we have here. So let's think about this right now. Is these are the curves that we just drew for the start to the middle of our object. Now what we're going to do is from the middle of our object to the other end, and we're going to pinch back up again. So let's go ahead and draw some curves here, and I'm going to draw one just in between. It's alright if they overlap because we're basically creating the whole profile here, but I'm just going to try to do them in between. So my next one's going to go here, and it's going to be below that 0, 0, 0 axis line. And now I'm above it. Okay, so you should have something that kind of looks like this. And once I did that, I'm going to turn off the first set of layers, and I'm going to rebuild these. Just to sort of smooth them out. And on this red layer, I'm actually going to draw a line from 0, 0, 0 again. Make sure my ortho's on, and just go ahead and draw another straight line at the base here. Now that I've done that, I'm going to split. I'm going to use the split command. And what I want to do here is I want to take anything that's below this line, which happens to be just these two curves, and I want to split them on this line. So now these base points exist below the line. Now the next thing I want to do is, because I have two profiles that are below the line, I actually want to now fill it, or let's split again. So let's do split, and now I'm going to select that datum line, and I'm going to use this first one to split, like that. So now I have the line split like that, and now I have a flat base, right? So this is going to allow us to have a flat plane at the bottom of our model. And so now that I've done that, instead of using the original curve that was there, I'm just going to go ahead and join those surfaces, or those curves together. And this outside information here I'm going to delete. And now I'm going to draw another line from the 0, 0, 0 point, draw a straight line. And I'm going to split this one off this outside edge. And I can delete the outside, and now I have that profile. And I'm going to join those together. And then I'm going to delete these two bottom ones because we don't need these anymore. So now I should have this profile, and then the ones that are floating up in the air.